Alright, so a couple things I want to talk about before we move into a discussion with your group members. The first thing is that you guys will meet, not necessarily 2 times per week, it's mostly that way. You guys have a discussion today, and then your next one is next week Tuesday. And then you'll be meeting twice a week through the end of the trimester. A couple of rules are, come prepared, right? That you have your book and you have your packet completed. And I will come around today and stamp off that first journal. Remember that journal number 6, we only have 5 meetings, so the 6th journal is extra credit. You don't get a ton of extra credit, so this is your opportunity. Sit so you're facing everyone, and you guys naturally are doing that because I have moved them back into pods, which is a fan favorite in here. Get started right away. So once I give you the directives on what I want you to do, then your group leader will have you get started right away. Listen to understand that lots of times we have other things that are going on in our head, maybe our packet isn't completed, and we're thinking, okay, well, I want to know if my mom will deliver my lunch for me today, or I wonder what is for lunch, or, oh, we have half day Wednesday. So it's easy to not to get in the listening mode. So make sure that you're listening to understand what each person in your group is saying. Ask questions. The main point of having a group and discussing together is to acquire more information and also ask questions of your group. Lots of times when we read independently, we don't get that opportunity, right? When you're in 10th grade, and if you have me, I do book talks instead of book reports. Why do you think I do that?
So we understand the book more?
Do you understand the book more? Okay, that would be one of the reasons. Riley?
Make sure we actually read the book.
Yeah, because it's easy to find your information off of SparkNotes or on the internet. I love a good book discussion. I love hearing about what you guys are reading. And sometimes if you have questions, I may have read the book and we can kind of dive into those questions together. So your group is to help support those questions. Lots of times there might be an area that I read it and I thought it was one thing and somebody else read it and they thought it was something else, and we can discuss what it actually means. Speak clearly but not too loud. It can get kind of noisy in here in book club. So make sure that you are speaking clearly so everyone in your group can hear you. These groups today doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to be your same groups next week Tuesday. Why? Because it's nice to hear from different people. So we'll kind of mix you up. You all have the same pages marked. So you will all read to the same point always, but there might be some people gone on Monday. So we'll do a little shifting so you get different things to do throughout this discussion. Wait for the next speaker to finish. Signal when you want to turn. So some of us are talkers. Yesterday Riley told me she's a talker, and I know I missed your hair sometimes with that talking. And make sure that you are courteous of the person, that they finish their thought before you butt in. Sometimes we get a little excited and maybe interrupt. Make sure that everybody in your group gets a turn. Some of us maybe are a little more introverted than others, and sometimes we feel like, maybe what I'm saying doesn't necessarily make a lot of sense. That's okay. You are part of a small group, and I don't feel like any question or any comment is a stupid question in the group. Respect each other's ideas. Last hour, 10th grade's also in book club. Jared Stoll said to me, "See, can I speak freely?" And I said, "Well, there's never been a time where I haven't told you can't speak freely, so go ahead." And he said something, and the group next to them is reading the same book, and Nora Hosmer goes, "Yep." And all of a sudden they were having like a kind of a cross discussion based on one of the things that he said. And even though it wasn't necessarily school appropriate, kind of like on Mice and Men, right? Some of those things weren't necessarily school appropriate, but they were part of life. And life isn't always appropriate. So if there's something that's going on in your book that you're like, wow, that may not be appropriate to talk about, I'll come join your group and we'll discuss it. Stay on topic. Provide evidence for your thinking. I would ask you guys, why do you think that? And so group leader, your job will be, if somebody says something, well, why do you think that? I think it's okay to question each other. And then you don't necessarily have to jot down any new information, but you do have a journal entry due for today that you will use as kind of a starting jumping point for today's discussion. Your discussion is going to have 2 parts today. The first part is going to be the actual format discussion that you will use. And I will walk you step by step how to go through this. And you will do this every time you come in. Do the discussion piece first. And that will include your journal entry. So while you are discussing, I'll be coming around and stamping those off. The second half of your group meeting today will consist of an activity that you'll do together as a group. to support whatever happened in that first section. So every time you come in, you'll have a discussion and an activity together. Does that make sense? Alright, so group leader, whoever is the lucky person that ended up with this on their desk, is group leader. I feel like this could be a toss-up. You can rock, scissors, paper over it.
I'll be there.
Okay. The only rule I have about a group leader, actually I have two, is that it can't be somebody who's been the group leader before. So that's not a problem because no one's been the group leader yet. And the other rule is that the group leader needs to be somebody who's read the section. So if you didn't read, you can't really lead. Veronica, you lost?
It rhymed.
It does. Alright, so you pick the leader. Going clockwise is the direction that you will do your discussion or your 1-minute summaries. So Veronica is their group leader. She will be the first person to start summarizing the book. So she'll start talking about what happened in that first section. If you read past the first section, which some of you I think in Heaven is For Real did, don't be a spoiler. We don't like spoilers in here. Okay, so make sure you kind of have an idea of where you left off. So Veronica will start talking. After the 1-minute mark, then Josie will pick up where Veronica left off. After that 1 minute has kind of completed, and you can guesstimate, right? Then Caitlin will pick up where Josie left off. By the time it gets to Seth, he can kind of fill in the blank, and he may not have a ton to summarize, but there might be a few elements that they left out that you picked up on. And how will he know that? Based on using his good listening skills. After you've summarized, number 3, you will share your response logs. This is where you will go question by question. So Veronica will start off as group leader. She'll read hers. You can either go around clockwise or you can kind of be informal in your sharing of those, but everyone will share. When you are sharing and when you're done, you won't just jump to the next person. I want you to have some form of conversation. And that will come naturally as you continue having your discussions. Maybe you're agreeing that Veronica wrote down something that I did, and I'll say, well, I agree because I also wrote about, and then I might transition and share what I wrote about also. Or I might say, I never thought about it that way. I thought about it like this, and then I would explain my thoughts. So that's where your discussion comes from. And so you would go question by question, and I think in response journal number 1, you have 3 questions, right? That you were to answer for today.
Yeah.
So make sure that you go one by one. You're not reading all 3 and then jumping to the next person. That's where your discussion can get kind of muddy. Once you're done going through your response log, I want you, group leader, to lead. Have a discussion. Make predictions. Talk about a particular character. I spent time with one group in 3rd hour talking about one particular character. And this character had OCD. And the OCD was so bad that she's sitting with her friends and she's cutting these rose stems for Valentine's Day because the girls were doing a fundraiser. She thought about taking that scissor and cutting her best friend's ponytail off. So she went, yeah, I'm not even joking. And she went downstairs, calmed herself down, and she was like, I'm a bad person. I keep having these feelings of like wanting to harm people. Our discussion for part of it was talking about what our preconceived notions were behind OCD. I thought it was like handle checking and ritual doing, and somebody said, well, obsessive cleaning, and I said, yeah, I did that 2nd hour, I got rid of all the ladybugs, even though they're still coming out of the ceiling. I didn't really understand it, that it could get to that extreme of like wanting to harm others. So that was the basis of our discussion, was that one particular moment. So I know that all of you will have a moment like that with your group today also. Then when you're done with your discussion and I kind of see that everyone has trailed off, I will give you today's activity. What time does this class end, Riley?
48.
48. So we definitely have enough time today to get our entire discussion and activity completed together. I play the role of fly on the wall / nosy Nancy. I sometimes stand and just kind of listen to your group and maybe interject. Sometimes I actually join in your discussion and bring up a point, and then I leave you to discuss and walk away. So that's kind of my role. Questions? So what's the first thing you need to do? What's that?
Summarize.
Summarize, yep, and group leader?
Me.
Pave the way.
Okay.
I'll Okay, so